So for today's khatira, I'd like to discuss some ayat in Surah Maryam where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us of the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim and his dialogue, his conversation with his father. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and mention in the book the Prophet Ibrahim, he was surely a man of truth and a prophet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to share the conversation that Ibrahim has with his father, calling him to Islam. إذ قال لأبيه يا أبتي لما تعبد ما لا يسمع ولا يبصر ولا يغني عنك شيئا. He says, remember, he says, when he said to his father, "Oh dear father, why do you worship what can neither hear you, nor see you, nor benefit you at all?" And so he continues to have this conversation, and with each successive ayah, you notice two things. The first is that Ibrahim starts every sentence, every ayah with Ya Abati, oh my dear father, oh my beloved father. This phrase Ya Abati is a term of endearment to say not just like dad, right? It's like, oh dear dad, oh beloved father, right? And so he's showing a great deal of respect, of love to his father. And you notice that the conversation or his plea to his father, each ayah seems to get a little bit more desperate in a way, and a little bit more pleading. And so he says in the next verse, يا أبتي إني قد جاءني من العلم ما لم يأتك فاتبعني أهدك صراطا سويا. He says, "Oh my dear father, I have certainly received some knowledge which you have not received. So follow me and I will guide you to the straight path." So in the verse before, he's more gentle. He's like, it's a rhetorical question. Why do you worship something that cannot benefit you, right? That cannot see, cannot hear. And then in the next verse, it's, why do you, he says, "Oh my father, follow me because something came to me that didn't come to you." He's trying to be humble, right? In the fact that he has knowledge that his father does not have. And then in the next verse, يا أبت لا تعبد الشيطان إن الشيطان كان للرحمن عصيا. He says, "Oh dear father, do not worship shaitan." And he says, surely shaitan is ever rebellious against the most compassionate. He says that he uses the term ar-Rahman, again, trying to invoke this idea of mercy. And then the following verse, يا أبتي إني أخاف أن يمسك عذاب من الرحمن فتكون للشيطان وليا. He says, "Oh my dear father, I truly fear that you will be touched by a torment from the most merciful, from the most compassionate, and become a companion of shaitan." And then after, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not telling us what Ibrahim's father is saying, but you can tell from the intensification, the further, almost, the almost like kind of begging of your father. It's like, please, do not fall into this mistake of being from the mushrikeen. That clearly the father is not responding positively. And then we get the confirmation of this in the following verse. قال أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم لأن لم تنتهي لأرجمنك واهجر لي مليا. He says, Ibrahim's father threatens him. He says, "How dare you reject my idols, O Ibrahim? If you do not desist, I will certainly stone you to death. So be gone from me for a long time." So he basically banishes him. And he says, "Leave me alone or I will kill you." And the verses continue on from that, where Ibrahim says, قال السلام عليك سأستغفر لك ربي إنه كان بي حفيا. Ibrahim says, peace be upon you, salamun alayka. I will pray to my Lord for forgiveness for you. He has surely been most gracious to me. And that's basically the end of the interaction. And it's very important to reflect on these verses, because oftentimes when we think about the stories of the prophets, sometimes you make the mistake of thinking that the prophets are more than human, right? I mean, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to, and there are verses that like talk about this, that, you know, that if Allah sent us angels, we would say, oh, these are angels, they're superhuman, right? Allah sent us prophets who are human beings. And because they're human beings, it's testimony to what is possible. I'm not saying that anybody will achieve the level of Sayyidina Ibrahim. Of course not. But what I'm saying is that it's something to strive for. And that's why we have these stories. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, by the parents, that we should strive for excellence. Here's an example of excellence. My dear brothers and sisters, I mean, nobody here, I mean, I'm just gonna, I'm go out on a limb. I don't think anybody has experienced, themselves being a Muslim while their father is a non-Muslim. Their father says that they will try to kill them. Basically, Ibrahim's father, in some interpretations, also participates in the attempted burning of Sayyidina Ibrahim, expelling him from his city. I mean, this is an extreme level of rejection from your parent. And yet, every single response from Ibrahim, you could not think of a better response. And so, for our own tests, for our own trials, with our parents, and everybody has their own trials, we should look back and reflect on this story, because it shows us what is the goal, what is the goal of how we should treat our parents, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from a people who read these stories in the Quran of the prophets, and also the story of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his seerah, and the seerah of the Sahaba, and take them as examples, because ultimately they're an example of what we could be like, and the beautiful thing about this story is that the story that begins with a son who is rejected by his father then becomes the father to the Abrahamic faith, becomes the father to this ummah, right? We refer to Ibrahim as our father, right? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards those who do ihsan. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who strive with ihsan in honoring our parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be merciful to our parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us the coolness of their eye. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our shortcomings. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to, even after they pass, to continue to do good works on their behalf. وآخر دعوانا والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.